guest today is Carl Paladino, the founder and chairman of Ellicott Development, and he is the New York chairman of the Donald Trump campaign for president. Hello, Carl, and welcome to the show today.
How are you?
I'm good. You have been and are a very successful business person. You've served in the military. You've been involved in politics and are very active in education and particularly in the upstate New York community. And you were one of the earliest supporters that I came across for Donald Trump's presidency. What is it about Donald Trump that you feel is not only good for New York State, but good for our country as a whole?
Well, I think that's a self-evident thing to most of the people who are informed of what's going on around them in life. Unfortunately, we have a very large population of voters who keep themselves uninformed and make irrational judgments about the politics that they want to follow. Those people, for the most part, are aligned solely on the basis of one particular issue, and that issue seems to be, their loyalty and commitment to the liberal or progressive movement. Donald Trump represents a person who came on the scene, who people in effect were waiting for, with a festering anger that was building and building and building. Donald Trump provided for them an answer to their frustrations about their governments. And I say governments because it's not only at the federal level, but also at the state level, that a lot of people feel that their government is non-responsive to them, that the government forgot them, and for the middle class, that the government forgot to take them along on the journey of life. That is a fact. Our Washington establishment, and in our case here in New York, our Albany establishment, have forgotten their values. They lost values over the years. They became conditioned, like many people in our society, to a new world of liberal progressive political correctness, which was used to channel their thinking. They left it up to pretty much the press to make decisions on what issues were important and to make decisions on how they, as citizens of this country, would react. And they listened to a insubordinate press that had a progressive agenda, and they were overwhelmed by it. And slowly they became awakened to the reality of their lives and the fact that for many of them, their lives were frustrated by a movement intended to micromanage every aspect of their lives. This created a great frustration. As I said, a man came on the scene named Donald Trump, and he let everybody know, although he didn't use the terms directly, but this was not going to be an election. It was going to be a political revolution. He doesn't much care for the Washington establishment. And when I say establishment, it doesn't matter what tag you want to put on them. Republicans, Democrats. We'll call it the people in power, Democrat or Republican, who have given us nothing. An incensed attitude about leaders such as Mitch McConnell, Paul Ryan, John Boehner, who, as Republicans, marginalized their values and bought into the liberal progressive movement on many, many issues and supported it. Paul Ryan wants to stand aside now and say, hey, I'm a real conservative. I believe in conservative values. And this is the same guy that when he assumed the office of Speaker of the House, took 40 or 50 Republican rhinos with him to support a wasteful and bloated Obama budget. This idea that we have to sacrifice our jobs, we have to sacrifice for our future generations, we have to pay all this dues and taxes and other intrusions on our lives in regulation by people who want to micromanage us. Why do we have to tolerate? Why do the American people have to tolerate a $500 billion a year deficit in our trade balance with China? Why? Because somebody made that decision? Because the Walton family decided that they were going to buy 95% of their goods from China? And they paid off a whole bunch of politicians with lobbying efforts to get that right, so that there is no balance of trade, so that we can't send our goods to China without paying high tariffs, but the Chinese can send anything they want to America. Now, the same thing applies to the Japanese, same thing applies to the Mexicans, same thing applies, to many, many countries. The American people are entitled to better. Yes, we want jobs. Is it right for them at present to raise this Muslim issue? What we witnessed this past weekend, I bet it's made every American, or virtually every American that's aware of what's going on around them, wary, and in some cases probably fearful of every Muslim they see on the streets. Get on an airplane, get on a subway, get on a train, get on a bus. You're sitting there and a Muslim-looking person walks by you. It's going to raise your blood pressure because you just don't know what you're going to face. And it is true that out of the last 20 terrorism acts in America, all 20 of them were done by radical Islamists who clearly wanted to support their agenda and the agenda of terrorism. Age 20, 40. I mean, that's what happened. And that's what's going to continue to happen because we have not made a pledge. Our government, I'll say, has not made a pledge to do something about it.
The business community and everybody, I think, that is supportive of Donald Trump does look to him to help improve the business, our economy, and and Donald Trump has been able to capture the anger of a lot of people and also their desire to have change. One of the things that comes up, and you spoke a little bit about that, I think yesterday, is how sometimes his comments come off as divisive. You mentioned about the judge in California. And is there some insight that you have between the difference in maybe what he believes and how he is perceived by people?
I think this election is going to be won by Donald Trump. I think the polls that we're looking at are faulty. They're unable in their analytics to identify proper polling technique that would reveal just how many Democrats and independents will vote for Donald Trump because of what he is saying, because of his independence, because he is fearless, and also because they can find absolutely no place in their hearts for a woman like Hillary Clinton. They don't trust her. She's obviously a liar. The press lies for her every day. The press nitpicks on words of Donald Trump They pull out this race card. And what is the race card? It's the default position for not having any other answers to the question. I was in headquarters yesterday, and I told the people there, I said, you have to tell Donald to stop apologizing that he is not a racist. Stop saying it, because all it's doing is lengthening the story. All the people that count know he's not a racist. He's on the teleprompter now in his speech, and it makes him a lot calmer, and it gives him an opportunity to get his message across.
Just as you were speaking, a message came from the New York Times that President Obama has accused Donald Trump of peddling a dangerous mindset following the Orlando shooting and questioning where does this type of rhetoric stop. And it sounds like you're speaking directly to some of that that's being pushed out through the media and through other people that are characterizing him as a divisive or racist candidate for office.
My view is that nobody's paying attention to anything that Barry Lattaro wants to say. He's lost all respect. He's lost his self-respect. He obviously has some very deep-seated and undisclosed feelings about world affairs. Donald Trump has his. I do not think that Hillary made a great choice when she made the decision to back the policies of Barack Obama. Obama doesn't command any respect. The middle class in this country can't relate to the man. They can't relate to their president. He has gone so far afield. He's literally damaged the credibility of this country in foreign markets. Yes, those foreign leaders, they're afraid of a guy like Donald Trump, and they should be, because he will restore the greatness of America and the ability of America to lead the world in the future. Obama wants us to get in line with everybody else. We're an exceptional country. We don't get in line. We certainly don't apologize for our past.
What are some things that you think we can expect to see from Donald Trump or the campaign messages?
I think he will get in greater depth on his jobs plan. I think he'll talk in greater depth on taxation. And I think he'll talk in greater depth about our foreign affairs. When he comes out and he says that NATO is ineffective, he's right. And everybody sit back and they say, wow, that's coming out of left field. Well, yeah. Because people can recognize that. Here we are supporting an effort. We're the sole support. These other European countries that are part of our alliance, they don't put up their fair share. That's unfortunate. Why do the American people have to pay for the defense of all these countries? Why isn't Germany, probably one of the most powerful economies in the world, why aren't they paying their fair share? Why aren't they building their military might? They're supposed to be paying a certain percentage of their GDP, but in actuality, they don't. Same with the Japanese. Here we are, we got to protect everybody without demanding any fair share. I thought one of the most significant things I've seen was in Iraq 1, we went into Iraq and we pulled Kuwait again away from Iraq, and at great cost. That cost us a bundle of money. 500,000 troops were sent there. And we saved the country of Kuwait from Saddam Hussein. When we went back for Iraq number 2, the Kuwaitis charged us rent for the land that our troops were on to stage the attack of the second Iraqi war. They charged us rent, and we paid it. We didn't take their oil. We didn't take payment for saving that country. Who makes those decisions? Why would we pay the Iraqis or the Kuwaitis a nickel? We saved their lives. We saved their country. Why would we pay them? It doesn't make any sense. Those are the kind of dilemmas the American people look at and they say, what's wrong with these people? Why is it always them that have to pay? Why do they have to handle these tremendous tax burdens so that others can enjoy peace? Why don't we share those burdens with everybody? That's what the establishment does because they make money. It's the American companies, it's the Americans that are making big money off of the China trade. They're the ones, the Washington establishment, the Washington lobbyist establishment that has so driven our trade opportunities into the ground. That Far East trade bill is horrendous, just horrendous imposition on the American business communities and our businesses and our jobs. Terrible.
How would you, there's been obviously the media has been a big component in this particular election, as it is in many, but even this one more so, and had, discounted Donald Trump's ability to even reach this point, and here he is walking towards the convention as the presumptive nominee. What do you think world leaders are viewing Donald Trump, and how would you, from your interaction with him, see how he will approach interactions with other countries in support of some of the imbalances that you mentioned that have gone on for quite some time?
I think he's going to call the world to task. I think he's going to make them put up their fair share. And that can be done, just like he's going to build a wall. And people want to laugh at that. He's not laughing. He's going to build a wall, and the Mexicans are going to pay for it. And he'll handle how he goes about doing that because he's a shrewd businessman. And he's been doing this stuff all his life. I mean, there's no such word as can't in his vocabulary. He can do anything if you have the stomach and the intestinal fortitude to do it. They call it the cajones. Well, he's got them. And he's not afraid to say it. He's a very confident man. And he's fearless. And he will use every weapon he can.
On the domestic front, how do you view him as being able to unite our country together, or do you see it continuing to be divided? It'll take a lot to bring that together, and I think that's one of the things that people are concerned about. And what are your thoughts on that, bringing the country together so we move forward?
That is bad. Okay, if people are insulted by what he says, if people don't like his policies that he's setting out, they're welcome to say what they want. For those who want to take stuff out of context, exaggerate, and whether it be accusing him of being a racist or a sexist or a misogynist or whatever, that's the press. They like those big words, especially the words that people have to go to the dictionary to look up. They like to use the big words. They're young, they're spirited people, and all they've known in their careers, in their lives, is a progressive liberal government. That's all they know. They can't imagine what the alternative might be. They never witnessed, a real world war and the horrors of a real world war. They never witnessed the United States doing anything but apologizing for its past actions. Why? Why don't they learn Because on the campuses and in the high schools, they're teaching these kids to be weak. It's amazing. My daughter's 16 years old. She's a student in a local high school, and she came home and told me that her English teacher has been using the classroom to drill progressive ideas into the heads of the kids. That's bad. It's bad for the school, and it's bad for the children who are trying to get educated and learn about this world. It's happening on the college campuses. These old pot-smoking hippies from my generation in the 60s are now being those college professors on those campuses and have indoctrinated us that you can't say Merry Christmas because you're going to insult somebody. They so want to control every aspect of your life. They're limousine liberals who feel guilt over their own successes in life and feel that there should be a give back to the poorer classes. But they don't want to give back themselves. They want the government to take care of all these people. It's sad, but that's the way things are right now. And re-educating an entire population is going to be the biggest task that Donald Trump has to face.
What is one thing that you could share that might give somebody some insight to take a look at Donald Trump from a different perspective, either somebody that's not supporting Donald Trump or is on the fence and trying to figure out where they want to put their vote in November?
That's an individual choice. It's too bad for those people. I wouldn't waste any time trying to explain it to them. If they can't figure it out by listening to what Donald's saying, if they can't figure it out then, there's no hope for them. Let them just go off into their sunset and do whatever they want to do. I don't see any reason to reach out to that class that has so demeaned the American dream and so demeaned the American people, so demeaned our Constitution and our history. I don't reach out to those people. I'm not even going to try. Those that want to learn, they come to the surface, and we help teach them. But those far leftists, those progressives, which compose only 10% of the population at best, they're done. They're finished. They're looking at becoming irrelevant, just as Karl Rove and Mitt Romney and Paul Ryan and Mitch McConnell. There's no place for them. If they can look by the transgressions of Hillary Clinton and without reservation stands tall for her, there's no recovery from that. They don't get it. In fact, they probably enjoy the irresponsible and illegal actions of our present president. They probably love it, thinking that there's some big bad guy in that Republican and conservative ranks, okay, that is going to take advantage of them. I'm sure those 100 or so people that were killed or injured in Orlando were sure hoping that somebody had a gun in there, other than the perp. I bet it was going through their minds that, I wish somebody else had a gun in here. I mean, I was in an airport yesterday, and they had 3 National Guardsmen walking around in this one area of the terminal. And I said, there's a message. Okay. They got their guns. They look like they're very willing to use them. And they're there to protect people. Every citizen has the same responsibility. It's this Islamist movement. You can't appease them. I mean, here, I think most of us share in the responsibility of being a nuclear country. Okay? The horror of nuclear weapons getting into the hands of the wrong people. That horror of that. And here we allow Iran to eventually obtain nuclear weapons. And we sign in a highly suspect agreement with them. And today they're covering up the transgressions of Iran. Obviously this progressive administration is not going to move in and make them account for the provisions of that agreement. All they did was give up stuff. Very terrible negotiators. Here you're talking about, with Trump, probably one of the best negotiators in America. He knows how to play his hand and how to play cards.
Do you see yourself having a role down the road in a Trump administration?
Oh, I don't know. We're going to elect this man, and he'll be a happy guy.
Thank you, Carl, for joining us and sharing your thoughts on Donald Trump and his candidacy for president. I'm Melissa Mahler, and this has been Real Talk.